Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Okay, let me start from the beginning. Good morning and afternoon and evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us here today. I see we've got a wide audience from all over the globe. That's very good, very heartening. And I also see a lot of uh, old faces and some new faces that I haven't seen before. So please welcome. My name is Jengetai Masango, and I am head of the IGF Secretariat, and which is based in Geneva. I warmly welcome you to the very first workshop of the series. This workshop is held in the framework of the capacity development project we call Our Digital Future. The Capacity Development Workshop Series aims to bring together diverse stakeholders to share best practices and also to help in building capacity on digital transformation and the cybersecurity fronts. We will focus on possible prerequisites needed to ensure the sustainability of best practices and the roles of different actors that they can play in advancing national capacity on digital transformation and cybersecurity. Our specific interests are the challenges in developing countries, including the least developed countries, landlocked developing countries, and also the small island developing states. Overall, our Digital Future project is driven by the call in the UN Decade of Action to partner for the Sustainable Development Goals, or the SDGs. And its aim is to outline the linkages and the topic with the SDG, particularly SDG number 9, to build resilient infrastructure, promote sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. And also the Sustainable Development Goal number 16, to promote just, peaceful, and inclusive societies. The Secretariat is most thankful to our colleague from Microsoft for their support in substantive shaping of this workshop, as well as in donating the website to this project. Unfortunately, the website's not ready yet, but we will be launching it in the next couple of days. And today we have speakers from Microsoft, as well as from the IGF 2021 intersessional work, namely the Best Practice Forum on Cybersecurity and the Dynamic Coalition on Internet Standards, Security, and Safety. From the Best Practice Forum, we have its co-facilitators, Ms. Hari Niobanana and Riamo Pionana. I hope I've said that right, and apologies if I messed it up, who is also a MAG member from Madagascar, and also Mr. Wim Degazel, who is a consultant, a longstanding consultant with the IGF Secretariat. And from the Dynamic Coalition on Internet Standards, Security, and Safety, we have the co-facilitators, Mr. Vudi Natras and also Mr. Mark Carvel. Before we enter the discussion, I wish to give the floor to my colleague Daniel from Microsoft to say a few words and also to introduce the speakers from Microsoft.
Thank you very much, Jengetai. It's a real pleasure to be joining you all. And on behalf of Microsoft's UN Affairs team in particular, we are really pleased to be partnering with IGF on this capacity building workshop series. I have the pleasure of introducing two of our colleagues who will cover our contributions to this particular engagement. One is Mike Ye. Mike, if you don't mind, please waving for us so that we can see you. Thank you, Mike. Mike Ye is our Regional Vice President and Associate General Counsel. He's responsible for Microsoft's corporate, external, and legal affairs in Asia, and he manages a team of more than 80 professionals who are providing legal and government affairs support to our colleagues in regions extending from India and Australia to New Zealand, China, Korea, Japan. So Mike is focused on really helping customers, both governments and private sector, to navigate novel legal, regulatory, and policy issues at the intersection of technology and business. And I asked Mike what his superpower would be if he could have one, so that we understand the person behind the professional profile. And Mike says his superpower would be to transform like the Wonder Twins can into anything. So I had to do some research on Wonder Twins to understand the meaning of this. And it was apparently a brother and sister superhero duo, and they can activate their superpowers by touching hands and saying Wonder Twins activate. So I wonder whether that is symbolic of IGF, Microsoft, and all the other stakeholders here joining hands and seeing what will happen if we indeed activate. What could we transform into? My next colleague is John Herring. John, please, if you don't mind also giving a wave. Thank you, John. John is a senior government affairs manager at the digital diplomacy team in Microsoft. He analyzes the global cybersecurity landscape and engages with our regional government teams and contributes to Microsoft's efforts to promote peace and cybersecurity in various initiatives. And these initiatives involve all stakeholders. He's previously worked with the US government, the Obama administration in particular, as a White House Defense Fellow, and has also taught English as part of his Teach for America engagements, teaching math, science, and working with refugees and humanitarian research in north of Nigeria. So for John, his superpower, as he alluded to, would be to read minds. And from experience, I know that this is a skill he's already cultivating, and I suspect that people who join his breakout table may come to the same conclusion. Finally, I'll just speak about a white paper that we are pleased to present at Microsoft. It covers the themes that both of our speakers will be discussing at this particular engagement. And the white paper essentially makes the case that digital peace is a part of a holistic approach that you need to protect the social structures and the physical infrastructure that are at the heart of the SDGs. So if you think about SDG 16, SDG 9, SDG 3, for example, and the dependency of those SDGs on digital technologies, we believe there is a link for digital peace to act as an invisible pillar in this day and age to support the SDGs. So I'll be sharing those links with you for those who haven't had a chance to access it. And we are pleased to have contributed the website to this initiative, which the IGF now has in its custody. So thank you very much, Shengetai. I believe you may still be on mute.
Again, thank you. Thank you, Daniel, twice. Let us warm up and let it all start with just a short poll just to see, to get a quick sample of your views on the topic. So you should be able to see a poll on your screens right now. And I'll just ask you 2 short questions. Okay, and I will give it a 5 count and close the poll. Okay, ending the poll. Right, as we can see from the poll, for the first question, my multi-stakeholder community is adequately prepared to respond to large-scale cyber attacks that harm critical infrastructure, the real economy, and societal processes. We had 22% of the respondents saying yes, 46 saying no, and 32 saying maybe. So there are some things that we can do there to make people better prepared. And then the second question was, my stakeholder group is on track to deliver the benefits of digital transformation to people in my community by 2030, leaving no one behind. This is also in line with the SDGs. And only 25% say yes. Okay. So this will hopefully help our speakers to initiate the discussion. So without further ado, I do wish to give the floor to Mike to deliver the first remarks. Mike, please, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. And thank you to the IGF for facilitating this conversation. I think it's important. One of the best jobs that I've had at Microsoft, and Daniel talked about my current role, but I want to say about 6 years ago, I was in a role where I was leading the legal and government affairs team for Microsoft's worldwide public sector team. And the reason that job was so compelling was it allowed me to work day in and day out with governments. And if you think about where we were 6 years ago in terms of digital transformation, we're arguably on the front edge of that, right? Governments were just trying to figure out, what does the technology mean? What potential does it have to transform? But at the same time, there are all sorts of questions around security, around data protection, privacy of citizens. And one of the most compelling examples from that period, and I think it's worth calling out, is with Mexico. And it related to their tax department. But they really were one of the first movers. So they set out to completely digitize how people would file personal income taxes. And in the process of doing so, they managed to collect an extra $5 billion US dollars in tax revenue. And you can debate whether that's a citizen service or not. Hopefully it translates into citizen services and better government. But I give Mexico credit for that because, again, you think about the era they were in 6 years ago to make that bet and to think about how could they be forward-looking and create better government is something that I think is worth reflecting on today. And that's ultimately the focus of my question. It's on SDG 9, which calls for all stakeholders to build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. And the area that I wanted to focus on, and I would love to have a conversation with others on this topic, is in developing countries, how are we progressing on these goals, specifically on the digital transformation of government? How can we realize more and better citizen services? And where else should we be investing collectively to help move that ball forward? That's it for me, and I look forward to the workshops.
Thank you very much, Mike. Next, I'd like to call Ion Bonana on the floor, please. Say a few words.
Yes,
Ion Bonana,
thank you,
please.
Yes, thank you, Jayata, for giving me the floor and allow me to welcome again the participants of this workshop. I'm Yumbonana. I'm a MAG member from Madagascar and also BPF on cybersecurity for state. So in table 2, we'll look into the role of state and non-state actors in developing and implementing measures to complex cybersecurity challenges. More briefly, we look at cybersecurity norms and initiatives by state and non-state actors and address the quality questions: how multi-stakeholder cooperation can contribute to more effective cybersecurity. To answer these questions, we look at the conclusion and recommendations of the IGF Best Practice Forum on Cybersecurity of 2019. Just to briefly provide some context, the IGF has developed intersectional program of Best Practice Forum intended to become robust resources and to offer substantive ways to produce concrete outcomes. So in 2019, the BPF on cybersecurity identified best practices related to the implementation of international cybersecurity agreements and initiatives. Those agreements have multiple well-known actors that either operate a significant parts of infra or from governments. These recommendations were also shared with 700 people in December 2019 and February 2020. So I would like to invite you to our table to discuss about the benefits of stakeholder cooperation as identified in the BPF documents. That's from my side. Thank you, Shukita.
Thank you very much, Ion Bonana. Now I would like to give John the floor to conclude this round of introductory remarks and tell us a little bit about his table and the focus of his discussion.
Thank you so much, Mr. Masongo and Daniel, to all the other organizers for the event. I'm very privileged to be able to be here with all of you. As Daniel said, my name is John Herring. I'm a Senior Government Affairs Manager at Microsoft. I work on our digital diplomacy team, particularly on our digital peace work. And so my day in and day out is focused on advancing multi-stakeholder ways to promote a rules-based order in cyberspace, and really to turn the tide against what we see as escalating trends as it relates to cyber conflict. We all know, I think, quite well by now the transformative power of technology for good to benefit countries around the world as we move through this period of digital transformation that Mike was speaking so well to. However, increasing cyber attacks do put these benefits at risk. This is a rising multi-trillion-dollar challenge in terms of the scale of malicious activity that threatens our collective security and the stability of our institutions. Attacks on healthcare, on energy, on food and water supplies. These have all happened in the last 6 months, 12 months, as we've gone through this global pandemic, and really highlighted the saliency of these issues. And this threat environment is driven by, the most advanced actors, including governments who invest in developing the most advanced capabilities for defensive purposes. And this does two things. It increases conflict between nations online, which threatens to undermine peace. And it also helps have these capabilities then proliferate to other malicious actors as well, including criminal groups. Which is why there's this demonstrable need for a clear rules-based order online. The UN has done incredible work working with member states to build consensus around international norms and respect for international law in cyberspace, including the conclusions of recent UN working groups, the open-ended working group on information security, as well as the parallel group of governmental experts. But nevertheless, attacks and conflict online continues to escalate. And so my room will focus on SDG 16, having to do with peace, justice, and strong institutions, and exploring how escalating conflict in cyberspace and increasingly sophisticated cyber attacks jeopardize peace, justice, and strong institutions. And then discussing further what can be done to advance these priorities and fully realize SDG 16 in light of these challenges.
Thank you very much, John. The last speaker will be Wood. Please, Wood.
Yes.
What you're doing the same thing I've been doing.
I pushed the button,
right.
But that's not twice. Thank you, Shanghai. My name is Walter Natris, and I'm the coordinator of the Dynamic Coalitions of Internet Standard Security and Safety of the IGF. And together with Mark Pavel, present today, I represent this new stakeholder coalition. I think that the basis of our work is that our digital future must be inherently more secure and safer than it is today. And the DCI-SSS has one primary goal: to make the internet and all its users more secure and safer through the rapid and widespread deployment by manufacturers and developers of ICT products, devices, and services of existing security-related internet standards and ICT best practices. There's a wide gap between the theory of these standards and best practices and the daily practice of insecure products that enter the market. So why is adoption important? Frauds and hacks often start with somebody posing as somebody else on the internet, or intercepting traffic on the internet, or using a vulnerability present in a product or device. Deployment of the right standard would prevent this. A best practice like, for example, the OWASP Top 10 ensures that website can be more secure. In fact, deployment of the OWASP Top 10 closes off the website from harmful attack and abuse. And this is just one example of many existing standards that are often not used. However, research shows that security-related standards are not routinely deployed and adopted. The reasons are often related to a lack of a business case to do so. No demand results in no supply, and in turn, this creates an unlevel playing field. Providing online security means less profit than your competition, and there's little incentive to manufacture.
I think we may have lost Wood. If you don't mind, let's just give him 20 seconds in case he can quickly come back on, because the next thing to do is to do the breakout rooms, and I wouldn't want him to be out without the breakout rooms. It always happens with technology. Did we get him back?
Chengetai, it's Mark
Yeah.
Carval speaking.
Oh, Mark, yes, if you could take over, that would be great. Yeah.
About is using a script, but I don't have that actually in front of me. But I think what he was going on to say was to describe how our dynamic coalition, the DCI SSS, which was launched last year, the IGF last year. So we're a new multi-stakeholder approach to looking at the deployment of, or lack of deployment worldwide of security-related internet standards and related best practice. We're on the way. We've focused on three particular areas. First of all, in the whole area of security by design, we wanted to look at Internet of Things. So we've got a working group working on that. Secondly, in the area of education and skills and training and vocational training, how can that be improved as a channel for developing greater awareness of the need for security standards in educational curricula, training manuals, and so on? So we have a working group looking at that. And thirdly, we chose procurement and supply chain management as a key area where the business case for requiring security-related standards to be implemented and deployed in goods, devices, and services which government agencies procure, and in the private sector, in supply chain managers. How could we make that a more effective driver for implementation and adoption of internet security-related standards? So we're looking forward really to a discussion about that, to hearing from participants here today, the kind of solutions they may have in mind. Our working groups are doing research with very much the aim of determining solutions in the form of recommendations and guidance and toolkits. For example, in procurement, toolkits for procurement agencies in developing countries, in the education area, for training and schools in developing country administrations to really use the right kind of materials that will advance greater security online, and that in turn will contribute to greater transformation of digital the economies worldwide, including in developing countries, small island developing states, and so on. So we're very much capacity building orientated in our work, and we want to deliver solutions as a dynamic coalition of the IGF. So I hope I picked up on some of the points that Wout was going to recount, and we can talk further, of course. Thank you.
Yes,
thank you,
Mark.
very much.
This is Wout. I'm sorry about this, but Zoom just stopped operating, and thank you, Mark, for taking over.
All right. Thank you very much, Mark, and thank you as well, Wood. And it's fine. We all know that all about technical difficulties. So once again, I wish to thank all the speakers. You brought to our attention very interesting and to a good extent different policy aspects around this. And so let's now focus more in depth into these aspects that have been presented to us. So I invite all participants to join one of the 4 discussion tables. This means that you can join any breakout rooms, and you should be able to see where we can join at the bottom there. But let me just read what I've been given so that we just make sure I don't miss anything out. The breakout rooms are shown on the screen and are named by the policy aspect presented, and also the speaker facilitator. You just need to click on join the room, and then join the breakout room, and then you'll go into the breakout room. At any point in time, you can move from one room to another room. And then after 30 minutes, we will return you here to the main room. And then you can present to us what you've discussed and the possible solution-focused suggestions that you may have with these policy questions. So let me just make sure that I've given everything that is correct. Anya, do you need to add anything else?
I think that's correct, Chengetai, and thank you. Louis has launched the rooms, so you should be able to see 4 breakout rooms on your screens. They're called Better Citizen Service, that's a chatting with Mike. And then you have the second one, which is called Cooperation with Ian, Banana, and Wim, Stability with John, and Standards with Mark and Wout. And you are able to move from any room to another at any point of time, just by again clicking on breakout rooms and joining it. If you have issues, please do post in the chat in which room you want to be assigned, and then my colleague Louis will help to assign you to that room.
Yeah, and we'll also be giving you a 5-minute and then a 2-minute warning when we're going to be closing the rooms. So please start selecting your rooms. And if you have any issues or questions, just speak and just speak out now, and
we cannot
Louis will
see
help
the
you.
room. Where is the room? We cannot see the room.
Oh, you can't see the rooms?
Yes,
No.
I can't see the room either.
Nobody can see the
Yeah,
room.
it's the same here. It's the same here.
So I can't also see the room.
Because some people have already started joining the rooms. Are you joining through the web app or the, oh, sorry, I forget myself. Louis.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm using an
Thank you.
Android device.
So no one is in the room, so I'm seeing that some of the people are joining, but it's true that only a few people. Let's launch them again, okay? So the rooms were started. We need to wait for 30 seconds.
I don't see the room. Can you help me?
Yeah, we will relaunch them. We will relaunch them.
I think the people who are on mobile don't see the rooms.
That's possible, but in that case, please write in the chat in what room you would like to be sent. Normally in the app, at least you should see it. Okay. So we will relaunch the rooms now. Okay. Now you should see them, okay? Otherwise, please let me know.
Yes, we can see it now.
I still don't see the
Yes,
rooms.
you can see it now.
Just as Louis has said, if you can't see the rooms, please write into the chat which room you want to be in, and we will place you into the rooms. We have the ability to do that as well.
And now we can see the break rooms.
Oh, okay, great.
Now we can see that one on the bottom. Thank you.
This is the first in the series. In the second session, it will work smoothly.
Can we be provided with a topic for each room, please?
Yes, I'm happy to repeat the names of the rooms. So there are 4 rooms. The first one is called Better Citizen Service, and that's the chat with Mike. Another one is called Cooperation, if you want to chat with Ion, Banana, and Wim. Then the third one is called Stability, if you wish to chat with John. And then Standards is the name of the 4th room, if you wish to speak to Wout and Mark.
We can see the room, but there's no button called join. Where's the join button?
The join button should be on the label where you see the name of the room. It says join.
It's on the right,
Oh,
where
okay.
the number of participants are written.
Right corner, you can find the join button.
But you can tell us in which room to move you, and we're happy to move you.
I told you already, move to my room 3.
Room 3.
Yeah, thank you.
Can you also move me to John's room? I wrote it in the chat as well.
Yes, we will.
Join breakout room.
Yes, you click breakout rooms. Mm-hmm. For me, it's the second last button on the bottom of the screen there, just before reactions, between live transcript and reactions. Mm-hmm.
So please do continue telling us in the chat where to move you in which room. If you're fine to be moved in any of the rooms, then you can also tell us in the chat, and then we can assign you to any of the 4 rooms.
Timothy, do you want to be moved to a room? You have to unmute yourself. Sorry. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I can move there. Okay.
Shall we move you? Frederick, would you like us to move you to a room?
Hi, sir. Yes, that would be awesome. I want to end up in the standards room. And
Standards, okay, done.
Thank you very much.
Delphine? I'm sorry, I can't see your name. Maybe you've moved it. Ashawad?
Yeah, can you please move me to standards room 5?
If anybody can see Ashwad's name, can you please move him in the breakout rooms? Oh.
Yes, I think he's already moved.
He's already moved. Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still here.
Sorry. Okay, I don't see you in this participants list for some reason.
Yeah, you're not in.
Happens. And maybe there's some desynchronization. Maybe you can just rejoin the meeting, and we should be able to assign you to the room.
Yeah, I will rejoin the meeting.
Eugene, would you like to be moved to a room?
Okay,
Yes, Sasha, we see you now. Which room did you say you wanted to be moved to? Standards, okay. Betty, would you like to be moved to a room?
Yes, standards, please.
Okay. Delphine, would you like to be moved to a room? And I also see Eugene. Eugene James. The rest of you, I don't see you for some reason. Ben, Taiwu, Shafi, I don't, oh, I see you, Shafi. Which room would you like to be moved to? From Education Malaysia? And Gabdibe, we don't see you as well. Maybe you have to log out and come back in. Marcus, have you been moved?
Yes, Marcus was moved. I think no one else is here, Chengetai.
Because I still see Marcus for some reason, but it's okay.
No, you see, so they have improved a lot.
Yeah, because we see their names, but maybe they're not here. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I see Marcus already joined. Marcus is in standards room.
Okay. We have to see how we can make this smoother for next time. Yeah.
Taiwo is there now.
So somebody's keeping with the time, right? Because I remember I promised them to give them a 5 minutes and then a 2 minutes warning broadcast.
How long should these meetings be?
This is supposed to be 30 minutes.
30 minutes. I don't know when we started, like 8 minutes ago at 3 o'clock, something like that.
Yeah.
But we should be compliant with the schedule for the session. So the scheduled end. So you need more time after the breakout rooms. Will need to end before. When is this meeting supposed to end?
Oh, according to the schedule, we're supposed to have finished now, right? It's 1 UTC, which is 3. But let's give them 15 minutes.
No, it's until 4 o'clock. It's until 4 o'clock the full meeting.
So, I see. Okay.
Okay, so we have 50 minutes more for the meeting. And how much time do you need after the breakout? No idea. No? Okay, let's close at 3:30.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we're supposed to. The breakout room is supposed to end at 3:25, right?
Anya is not here. Anya joined one.
Yeah, 3:25.
3:25. So at 3:20 we will send the broadcast, and at 3:18 we will send another one.
Yes. Yeah.
Perfect. No, I was just commenting because, yeah, there are still some desynchronizations in this, some things still in this joining thing, but they have also improved in many other things. Have you seen this, the transcriptions, how they work now?
No, I haven't taken a look. By the way, are you hearing any feedback from my speakers when I speak? No feedback?
No feedback at all.
Oh, okay, good, because your voice is not on the earphones, it's on my, so that's good. Okay.
Okay.
That's why I kept on forgetting to unmute, because I haven't done this for some time.
Okay. No, that's fine.
So full transcript.
Yeah, we have that. I mean, I'm checking for the IGF. I mean, we have these things. I mean, for this year, of course, we will have the one, but
That's quite good, yeah.
Just to know what we have in case we need things, you see. I mean,
Yes.
they have improved the quality incredible, these things.
Yes.
Because this,
Raymond, would you like to join a room?
Yes, please.
Which room would you like to join? We have 4 rooms.
Okay, which are?
Let me tell you right now. I can assign you to Better Citizen Service, Corporation, Stability, or Standards.
Better Citizen.
Okay.
and also, they are quite balanced, the number of people in the room.
Yes, you see, there wasn't anything to worry about as far as the numbers were concerned. Yeah.
Yes.
Elena, would you like to be assigned to a room?
Hey, yes, please. Could I join John's room?
Okay, Stability. Yes.
Thank you.
And
Perfect.
Ben, I see you now. Would you like to be in a room? Ben? Else we will randomly assign you a room, and then you can always change. We will give you standards.
Okay, so have you seen what Eleonora says? And it's true. Yeah, I forgot to say it. Actually, sometimes it's in this 3 dot button at the bottom, the option to join the breakout rooms.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Yeah, that sometimes, you know, when you have many buttons, it appears a 3 dots button at the end, and the breakout rooms appear sometimes there. People don't see it. We will explicitly say that for next time, so more people join by themselves. We don't know if you heard me.
Beryl, do you want to join a room or it's okay? Also, Gabriella, Ungul, and Yungchu. Do you want to join a room or is it fine?
I think it's fine. I just wait after the room.
Okay. Because there's basically like 10 minutes left if you want to join, any of you. We can put you in a room right now if you want.
Hi, could you help me to change to another room? Thank you. Sorry, I'm late.
What room you want to be moved into?
Which room would you want to be in? Better citizen services, corporations, stability, or standards?
Could you repeat? Sorry.
Better citizen service.
Okay, this one, okay.
That one, okay. Christiana, are you fine? Yeah, or do you want to join a room? We can move you into a room if you wish. If your audio is not connecting, you could also just type it into the chat and then we'll move you.
It's 7 minutes to go, Chengetai.
Yeah.
So we'll send a broadcast message in 1 minute to say there are 5 minutes left.
Yes, just say the 5-minute warning. Yeah.
Yes, it was just sent.
Great. Hi, Diana. How are you doing?
Hello, Chingit. Thank you and sorry for joining late. I've been in another meeting.
No, it's fine. As long as you've joined, we do appreciate it. Lewis, I think just send a 2-minute warning.
It's sent, and asking to please wrap up. Hi, Raymond. We can put you in the room, but it's just 1 minute left to go, so I don't think maybe it's too late. But if you want, otherwise we need.
That's fine.
Thank you. I'm closing Chenge time. It takes 30 seconds.
Yes, yeah, please go ahead. Yeah. No music, please. You might. All right. Thank you. Okay, welcome. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you had fruitful discussions and you had time to discuss and come to some conclusions or recommendations. So now what we're going to do is just to receive a short 2-minute summary from the room leaders, and they'll tell us what they discussed and any conclusions that they came to. So first of all, I would like to give the floor to Mike, just to give us a summary.
Thank you very much. I'll try to do this quickly. I will say we were thinking about sort of three-tiered conversation around challenges, opportunities, and then pragmatic solutions. And we didn't get to the pragmatic solutions, but at least we've surfaced some of the challenges and opportunities. And we had a group of people. Ghana was well represented, but we also had representatives from Kenya and Belize, Southern Africa weigh in. What's a couple of themes in terms of challenges. One clearly is, and this is challenges to more digital citizen services. And I think about that broadly, right? How do we create the inclusive services? How do we develop IT systems that are sustainable, that are accessible to everyone? And so one of the common themes was actually change management. How do we do more to prepare the community and citizens? But then a point was also made, we also have to prepare government employees, right? So because this is a very different shift in terms of how government provides services. So that is one of the challenge. Infrastructure is the other one. Thinking about how do we enable connectivity. And then a third that came up as a challenge was around political change, right? In so many of these countries, government leads the way, but then government changes. And then what is left with the IT solution or the system? And then as we started talking about solutions, there were a couple ideas. One was around, and for many of these, government, I think, can play a very strong role in this, right? So one idea was government being more intentional about how it allocates spectrum and ensuring that there is spectrum available to provide access in rural areas, for example, where the private sector may not go because the costs are so high. The other one was idea that came up was, how do we leverage citizen interest? And so I think this is the flip side of change management. I think it's increasingly clear that citizens want technology. They want more digital solutions. So how can we use citizens' interest to drive a bottoms-up approach? And then the other example I pointed out from my Mexico example was Mexico in some ways was ahead of its time because their parliament or legislature passed a paperless government requirement. And so the tax authority had no choice, right? but to comply and figure out a solution that worked. And so there may also be opportunities where government can really lead and drive the change through a top-down approach. But that's a quick overview of our conversation. Again, we didn't get to pragmatic solutions, but look forward to continuing the conversation.
Well, thank you very much, Mike. It all sounds very, very, very interesting. Wim, please.
Thank you. Just back on time. Okay, here I am. First, I would like to apologize to the people from my table because I was just at last minute kicked out. A problem with Zoom, and I just kicked him. So if somebody objected at the really last minute, I didn't get it. But our table discussed the question of the importance of multi-stakeholder input in norms and cybersecurity agreements. And what we actually did was we tested with a group some findings of the BPF from 2019, and nobody really objected. So those two findings was that involving stakeholders, different stakeholders in the early stage when you form the agreement helps to make better agreements because you get rid of some ambiguity, some misunderstandings that happened afterwards about the text. Also, more people help to come up with better solutions. And also at the second stage, it's important to involve stakeholders because it are your stakeholders that once the agreement is there, need to move from the text to effective actions and implement the suggested solutions and come up and make actually things happen. So that are the 2 points we tested, and as far as I understood, we didn't get really objections. We got some good examples of countries where this is happening, but that's the report of our table.
Okay, thank you very much, Wim. The next is John.
Thanks so much, and thanks so much to my table for the discussion that we had. I think we broke it into 2 chunks there, which is sort of concerns and questions related to promoting peace, justice, and strong institutions, as it relates to cybersecurity. Folks highlighted, that zero-day exploits are highly concerning as sort of an avenue for attack to our most important institutions. and then raised important questions about what is a legitimate versus an illegitimate action online. Is spying something that should be tolerated as it relates to cyber behavior of states in particular online? Highlighted as well a lack of agreement on how international law should be applied and upheld in cyberspace. Though governments do recognize that there is international law online, there's important questions about the how of that. And then the group also identified that there are important tensions between governments at the UN on whether to pursue more binding obligations for state activity or non-binding norms to try and promote a rules-based order and to protect the peace and justice and strong institutions. On then the solutions side of this, the group highlighted that sort of the recent UN GGE report provides a good framework for states to opine on how international law applies. So while there isn't a consensus, this is how international law applies in that report, there is an invitation for states to contribute their own statements on how international law applies, and states should be encouraged to do so. At a national level as well, then it was highlighted from some of our participants, governments need to be more actively engaged, having dedicated policy focused on implementing international expectations, including international norms. It's one thing to be able to agree to something at an international forum, but then it's important to actually implement that on the national level. And then finally, as it relates to the importance of multi-stakeholder inclusion and a governance model there, the group highlighted that this is sort of a new structure to be bringing into conversations, especially when it involves peace and security, and that governments in particular need to get sort of used to this method in a domain that traditionally has maybe just been about governments talking to one another, but now needs to have more of a almost inclusive family dynamic of who are the different people here, what are their different roles. We're not all meeting necessarily as equals, but as different stakeholders that have vested interests and perspectives to include. So I think we're the sum of what we highlighted. And you may be on mute once more. And I hate to say that you still are.
As I was saying, I have a new system here and I have to relearn my automatic reactions when I speak. Yes. Thanks. Thank you very much, John. Mark, next.
Yes, thank you, Chengetai. And the focus of our breakout room session led by Wout, and Wout may want to chip in later if I've missed something, but the focus was on internet standards and relating to security and safety, and the widely acknowledged gap in how standards development takes place is very effectively through standards developers, organizations, but when it comes to implementation and adoption of those standards, there are serious gaps. It doesn't happen in the business cases quite often, isn't there? So that was our focus. We had a very good participation from Africa, Asia, and other parts of the world. It was a very useful discussion, which kicked off really with, is there a role for legislation, for governments, for regulators? And we had the example of Kenya. And the limitations of that approach were clearly identified. First of all, the impact of legislation doesn't disseminate easily throughout the stakeholder community, through the users and communities. There's lack of awareness, and there isn't an approach that sensitizes effectively users to the importance of security and safety. And secondly, it's difficult for legislative approaches to keep in step with technology change, rapid technology change. There are limitations to that. It isn't dynamic enough, really, that approach to deal with some of these critical, fast-moving issues relating to security and threats. So we then looked at the role of industry, and there was a good thoughts about this, because it's often seen that industry is led by some very active global players, and they potentially have a role to get together and develop common standards that can be easily accepted and respected and implemented. So there was a useful discussion about involving industry in responses to this challenge. And that also included internet service providers who suggested that they could have a very effective role in helping with that. So industry playing a greater role in these discussions is important. In answer to a question that Wout very clearly put, who else should be involved? A strong message about involving young people came through. They are, the early adopters of fast-moving technologies, and they should be involved in discussions. There was, I think, general support for that. So I think the general direction of the discussion was in the sense of multi-stakeholder process. The IGF could have a very effective role in bringing in key industry players to engage with stakeholders and look at this whole problem of adoption of effective security and safety related standards and related best practices. So there was general support for really what our dynamic coalition is trying to develop in much more precise terms. And of course, we invite all the stakeholders who participate in our room and also this whole session and beyond to spread that message. Please join us. Other contextual issues were raised. I won't go into detail now about the importance of interoperability and the digital divide, the fact that people simply do not have access to a lot of these technologies that we're talking about when in the sphere of security standards. So I think those were the key points. I invite to chip in with anything else. We tried to use this, for information about national initiatives, but nothing really came through on that. I think that was, we were very, we wanted to hear more about what was happening in a lot of countries. Maybe we can have another discussion to focus on initiatives and how to guide administrations in developing initiatives that effectively sensitize users to the importance of security and also bring in the industry players in a more effective way. I'll finish there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Nothing to add.
Do you want
Mark.
to say anything?
No, thank you, Senator. Nothing to add. Excellent summary. Thank you.
Okay, right. Thank you very much, Mark and Whit. Now we'll go to our discussion phase. We're going to open the floor, and I really hope that you did enjoy in the rooms. The rooms were evenly divided, which was very, very good. They had basically the same number of people in all the rooms, so there was a even distribution of interest. And so now for 15 minutes, I would like to invite all of you to share your individual impressions on the presentation of the content that was presented to you, and how do you feel about the local and global internet governance community, what the local and global IG community could do to bring progress on these identified issues, or to further the discussion as well. So you can simply just raise your hand, that's fine, and then I'll just call out your name. If you want to add anything, highlight anything, emphasize something. Osvaldo, please, you have the floor, and then we'll follow it by Enoch.
Yeah, thank you. I would like to thank for this interesting discussion about the digital future. I'm from Dominican Republic, and I was sharing with the group about the important adoption of public policy by the Dominican government, the digital agenda, that was constructed based on a stakeholder agreements and sharing. This approach is great because sometimes public policy walks along in the process of implementing regulations and normative, and usually the other sectors just follow. But when you integrate them, this gives opportunity to consolidate consents and to bring opportunities to progress on these issues that are and that require some authority to implement, like cybersecurity crisis. No, that a government usually has to take over different organizations. So this has expanded to the Congress, to our parliament, and to the Justice Department, creating a culture, a digital culture to share different opportunities and create value. Thank you.
I think you're muted, Chengetai.
Yeah, it
I
lost
will,
sound.
by the time this ends, I'll get it right. Enoch, please, then followed by Fred.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I want to say that I like the multi-dimensional nature of this call. The fact that we are not just taking one aspect of digitization, but we are considering the various aspects to it, such as security, government involvement, and all of that. So as was discussed in Mike's room, I think when we look at citizen digital services, we should, especially in developing countries, consider the fact that a huge proportion of the population live in rural areas. So issues like rural connectivity should be considered very critically. And I also want to add that bringing on board people who likely have very little digital skills means that it gives us the extra responsibility to make these services secure and safe by design. So I liked the idea of ensuring that manufacturers ensure that their devices are safe by design, they are secure by design, such that even if an average user does not know how to keep himself or herself safe and private on the device or on the internet, the device itself has enough features to protect that person online. So I think this call was very interactive and it is very dynamic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Enoch. Fred?
All right, thank you very much for the opportunity. I am Fred Kojo Azori from Ghana, 29-year-old, working with the Zenith Bank Ghana and Internet Society Ghana chapter. So I would like to also add my voice to the multi-stakeholder concern that was raised by Masanjo. I think you asked about what the national section is doing and then the global level can also do to assist in these deliberations or discussions. So as it has always been, we realize that at the global level, there are a lot of discussions going on across different areas where cybersecurity is of a major concern. So now the multi-stakeholder approach that is used at the global level, at the local level or the national levels, we try our best to also incorporate these things, the multi-stakeholder discussions in the national levels. But when it comes to implementing the policies that or the standards that are raised at the global level, I think the implementations are done at the national levels and the local levels. So we need to be able to engage more of the discussions at the local and national levels so that we'll get more people participating in the multi-stakeholder discussions. And I think there need to be more advocacy and training, whereby we're able to get more people to understand the concept of the multi-stakeholder approach, because as at now, still some governments have it difficult to understand what is meant by the multi-stakeholder approach and the need or the reason why they have to participate in the multi-stakeholder approach, because some governments are still going by the multilateral sense of implementing their daily policies and stuff like that. So they find it difficult cooperating with other governments to be able to have certain dialogue to be able to come to a consensus on the general concerns of cybersecurity, resilient infrastructure building, and being able to connect the unconnected. So this is what I have to say. But I think since I'm a youth, I would also want to advocate for the youth inclusion, because it's very necessary to get more of the youth also participating at the global level of the IGF. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Those were very good points. Next on my list is Nancy.
Thank you very much, sir, for this opportunity. My name is Nancy from Kenya, and mine is just an observation. I think and believe we need to make our internet governance inclusive. When we talk of a multi-stakeholder approach, we need to think about the persons with disabilities, the blind, the deaf. What is it that we can do to ensure that they are included in these conversations and their ability? Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. Yes, very good point as well. Benjamin?
Hello, yeah. So thank you for the opportunity. My name is Benjamin. So I don't know if you can hear me, but if
Yes,
you
we can.
can. So in terms of IGF efforts locally, I would, and also to align with Group 1's conversation, I think for us to meet some of those challenges, it's important to bring on board stakeholders like businesses that can really affect the change. We could give them the social needs for some of the businesses they offer. So if they are in the conversation against the norm that we have right now, that is essentially civil societies and government that is always championing IGF agenda, I think it will really, really help solve some of these problems and bridge the gaps. I would encourage, if there are efforts or ways government businesses can be reached out to, for them to embrace internet governance issues as well. That's what I think. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Next is Laban.
Good afternoon. I'm Laban Bagi from the CTAC in Cape Town. It's the Cybersecurity Center, Capacity Center for Southern Africa. So that's where I'm from. So what I would like to contribute about the topic multilateralism, I would put it that way, in terms of cybersecurity and digital transformation in African countries, is that cybersecurity is a particularly crucial element in all of that. And it is not only a matter of being designed within the software or the hardware we should be shipped into the continent, but it is more and more about how people will be aware of things that are going on, because we are being plagued with things like fake news. Ransomwares are coming now. Viruses are already well known, and we have various other things that are connecting online, like terrorism. So I'm not talking about human trafficking, and there are so many more. And these are things that are happening online, and they are not especially technical. And because of that, it is very important that we pay attention to cybersecurity as we build our ICT infrastructure, as we transform our countries and as we transform our government. We need to pay very close attention to cybersecurity. So that's for me. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Laban. Mary, please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Shangata, for giving me the floor. My name is Mary, and I'm speaking from Lagos, Nigeria. And I like the Mark's breakout session, the discussion on standards. And in that wise, I'm looking at IGF promoting standards and standards involving the manufacturers, technical community in particular. So they take responsibility when you come to cybersecurity. And if they build up good standards, and just like one other person has said, that when you hold a device, you are sure you are holding a device that is protected, and you are not, nobody is taking your information from the back door. So the manufacturers need to be brought in, and they should be able to take responsibility, and they should be able to develop standards within themselves, and manage themselves, and provide their internal or the self-regulation. That would be fine. In terms of policy, government policies, they found out that the government, even when rolling out regulation, they still trust issue. They don't. I don't think government trusts the multi-stakeholderism. They are used to the way they've been doing business. So I don't know how we're going to bring that in and break the genes in the IGF process. And when we talk about connecting the unconnected, IGF should also, as we have started the building, what we are doing now, I like it so much, and so that we'll be able to bridge the gap, and then bring those that are not into it, and then build their capacity of even basic hygiene of using the devices. And you know, the way the internet has been built, the digital processes there is so very open, and people find it very difficult to trust the process. So if we can build a capacity from that way, I think it will also help. And somebody has said about sustainability, resilience of the future. So and we can only do that if we all are on the same page. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mary. I'll close the queue after Wood, but now Prince.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. In as much as we want to promote digital rights and an open internet, I'm sure that there are some other bottlenecks, or there are some other challenges that we would also need to acknowledge, so that we can get whoever is involved to be able to have a solution or resolution to some of these problems. One of them is governments that are suppressing the internet by adopting measures such as removing content from sites, blocking websites, and even shutting down the internet entirely. I remember in Ghana during our election, NCA said they are going to shut down the internet for a period. And some of these things are things that infringes on the rights of people. It took some stakeholders to come in for these issues to be resolved. So some of these problems need to be addressed, where government takes decisions to shut down internet and the rest. It's kind of impedes on the rights of people. Another one is having the national security also cramping down on people who put contents on the internet space. It also doesn't give that kind of freedom of expression. So we have to identify some of these problems, and then also address them equally. Another is having these internet giants who largely own data of internet users and misuse their data by advertising inappropriate contents to these users. Finally, the misuse of internet in regards to spreading false messages is also an area that at least we have to also look at, so that we will have a free, open, and I mean a comfortable digital space for all of us to operate in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prince. Yes, these are all very complex topics. Wood, please.
And unmuted. Thank you, Shintai. Just as a final comment, taking the opportunity for the Dynamic Coalition on Internet Standards, Security and Safety, that we've got very many positive responses today, and I'd like to thank you for that, and many suggestions. So I would like to invite people who are interested to join the email list of the BCISS and work together toward a future outcome, which we will be doing at the IGF in Katowice and in 2022. So I will put the link to the Dynamic Coalition once again in the chat, and hopefully that we will be able to greet you there, and that you will be able to participate and join in parts of the research and the planning and the results that we will be having in the next 1.5 years. So thank you for the opportunity to participate, Shanghai and the other Secretariat and Microsoft. And with that, I give back the hand to Shanghai. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. So thank you. Those are all very interesting comments, including calls to engage more in advocacy and training. Youth inclusion, very important, was mentioned again. And also inclusion of people with the disability when we're talking about these issues. And then there was the other comment that it's not just the hardware or software that we should look at, but we should also look at individual awareness of the threats that are out there, so people are better prepared to face them and to protect themselves on them. And then again, promoting standards, which is all very, very important, and which we are trying to do here at the IGF in cooperation with our partners like Microsoft, ICANN, ISOC, etc. Thank you. I hope you've all enjoyed this fruitful exchange, and I enjoy them, and I've picked up a few things as well. And apologies for the technical glitches that we had now and again. This is our first one, and as we go on, we will improve with these sessions. And now, as we're closing the session, I'll just like to make a few announcements. So the first one is that the outputs of this workshop will be made available as soon as possible on the IGF website. They will also feed into the IGF 2021 issue area narratives, and will help orient the agenda for the second and for the OC workshops, for the second and third workshops that we're going to be having in this series. The next workshop will be on the 2nd of November, and that's at 12:30 UTC. And we will continue to build upon the discussions that we've had today in this workshop. And I also would like to invite everybody to register for the 16th IGF in Katowice, as the third workshop will be hosted there on the 6th of December in Katowice. And if you can't make it in Katowice, that is fine. Katowice is going to be a fully hybrid meeting. So if you can't make it physically, you can also fully participate online. We've put in a lot of effort to make sure that there's very little distinction between on-site and off-site as far as the workshops and participation goes in the meetings. And I'm also using this opportunity to invite you to join the third open consultation and MAG meeting, which is going to be in Geneva at UNOG, United Nations offices in Geneva, on the 29th of September until the 1st of October. And again, there'll be online participation. It's a fully hybrid meeting as well. So with that, please stay connected. We do issue an IGF newsletter, and you can subscribe to that. And we will have the website up and running. It is already up and running. We're just making a few minor changes, and we will also inform you when it is accessible by the general public. So I look forward to seeing you on the second ODF workshop or in a best practice forum. So all the best, and thank you very much to Daniel as well and to the team. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know, Daniel, if you want to say a few words of goodbye.
You've said it all perfectly. Thank you all so much. See you at the next one, which is 2nd of November, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you all so much.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you all.
Bye, everyone.
Have a good day. Thank you all.
Goodbye.
Bye.
All right, goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.